Hi, this is Derek Murphy from creativity.com, helping you become creatively and financially independent. Right now, I'm just answering a bunch of questions that people often ask me by email about publishing. So I've got at least 100 questions that I'm just going through. I wrote a little book that's free that you can get on my site, but I'm going through it, answering the questions by video because some people may not find my book, and I think this will be a way to reach more people. So this question is actually about how to get your book translated. And a lot of people ask this. My main concern, I think, is most authors will ask it too early. So if you have a book that's selling very well, translating might be a good idea. But if your book isn't selling in English, if you wrote a book in English for an English market and it's not selling, translating it into another language is not your first priority because it's not going to be very successful. You really want to focus on whatever the problems are your book already has right now. The reason it's not selling, either the book needs to be better, or you need a better book cover, or you need better sales description, or you need better marketing. You need to fix those problems before you even think about translating your book. So don't just assume like translating your book is one way to do better book marketing, because that's not going to make your book successful. However, let me talk a little bit about my experience with translation, because I've had some success in this area. My first big book, I marketed very hard and very well. And so I got some foreign publishers to get in touch with me, and they asked me about translation rights. I sold the translation rights for a 4,000 print run to a major publisher in Russia, like the biggest Russian publishing company. And it was a little weird because that company was not used to working directly with authors, and I didn't really understand the business of it. So like their bank account was in Cyprus, and I was asking, why are you in Cyprus if you're a Russian company? Like, it was hard for me to trust where this was coming from. And they were kind of annoyed because they're not used to working with authors who don't get it, and they would have been more comfortable working with an agent or a publisher. However, it's possible if you're self-published, if you have a good book, if you have a good cover, if you're doing your own marketing, if other people find out about it from other countries, they may want to take the risk. And I was lucky in that case, they gave me an advance. So I made a few $1,000s publishing this book in Russian, which is always a win. I mean, people worry about the translation rights. They're worried about it'll get out of control, or they're worried about, I can't control how many books those people are going to print. Personally, I don't care. My focus is on the English market. That's my only market. If somebody else can translate the book and sell it in another country, that's good for me. It's good for my book and my platform. Even if I'm not making any money off of it, it's good for me. Even if they sell 1 million copies in Russia and I'm not making any money, I mean, yeah, that kind of sucks. I would like to get some of that, some of the percent. So you want to look at the contract, make sure you get some percentage of sales, see how many copies they're going to print, make sure it only says they have control over that language. You can have an agent look at it. If you're worried, you can tell an agent, look, this foreign publishing company got in touch with me and I have this contract. I want you to look at it and see if I should sign it. An agent will be able to go through and make it the best deal that it can be. It's probably worth the time, or even if you have to give the agent some of the percentage or some money. What's more common now, there's a lot of people in other countries who, for them, they can look at the books that are selling well on Amazon and just offer, hey, I'll translate it for you and put it on, Kindle Germany or France, and we'll split the profits. And I've done that a couple of times with some of my books. It's no risk for me. It doesn't take any work for me, because they're doing all the work, they're putting it up. And yes, I have to trust them to send me some money, but they're not huge markets. And like I said, I'm not really worried about the money if it's translated into another language, because if somebody else wants to do the work, I see it as like they're promoting my book for me. They're selling more copies of my book. They're building my other platform. They're working for me for free unless they're earning. So I want them to earn money. I want them to earn good money. Otherwise, what's the point? But I don't worry about, are they paying me enough? Did I really sell that many copies, or are they stealing or whatever? You don't want to be too protective of your content, because the obstacle of indie authors is not, I forget, there's a really good quote, but I forget how it goes. Basically, your main obstacle is oblivion, invisibility. Nobody can see you. The thing you want to solve, the main problem, is getting your book out in front of enough people that it keeps selling regularly by building your platform, by building your website, your social media profiles. You want to build things so that you're not invisible, so that people are finding you. So even if you're giving up some of your content, especially to foreign languages, that's something you couldn't do on your own. If somebody else is willing to help you out to do that, I would say always take that option. But just starting off looking for translation for your book, it's not the first thing you need to do. You need to make sure your sales funnel is set up right, your book is well designed, your sales copy is converting visitors into buyers. You need to test a lot of things. Make your book as strong as it can be first, make sure it's selling. Then foreign translation might be a good idea. Also, if you have a big back catalog, if you have 30 books in English and they're all selling pretty well, that could mean a lot of money for you if you get them translated in German or German or French. The other interesting thing is, for example, publishing Chinese books is very difficult because Amazon doesn't have the language option for Chinese because they assume Chinese languages has to be top down, and you can only do that with EPUB 3. Whereas actually Chinese websites are written right to left on the screen. Maybe it's left to right, I don't remember right now. But readers are already used to reading it horizontally. And so I can make books formatted in Chinese that are comfortable for Chinese readers. I can put them up on Amazon and they work. So I can buy my Chinese book on Amazon, even if I set the language, because they don't have a Chinese language option. I can set it as English, but actually it's Chinese. I can buy the book on Kindle and download it to my device and it works perfectly. But Amazon doesn't allow Chinese language yet, which is pretty screwy, but I have no control over Amazon. Someday maybe they will have another option for another language. I'll make another video about this because I have a lot of feelings about languages on the Kindle. There's other ebooks sites. There's a Amazon China, but they don't really have this whole Kindle thing. Self-publishing hasn't taken off in China yet, which is why there aren't translations of many books. And there isn't like a universal or easy system to buy and download books on iPads or e-readers. Basically, language rights, you can do it, but it shouldn't be your main priority. And if it is your main priority, you shouldn't worry so much about the earnings. As the other part of the question was, what's the benefit of putting it on a French or German site? Because when you publish on Kindle, you can also set it for those international sites, which means people in Germany or France can find it and buy it and download it. You can do that with an English book. It doesn't have to be in the local language because there are people who read in English in those countries who will buy it. So you don't really have to worry about translating it and putting it on those same platforms. You can, if you're selling really well, if you're selling 1 million copies in the States and France's market is 10% of that, it's possible you could sell 100,000 copies in France if it was translated, but it's a big risk and I wouldn't put money into it. There's also a website, I wish I remembered what it was called. Let me look for just a second. It came up recently. I was just discussing it with somebody, but you'd have to search for it, I think, to find the right page. Yeah, I'm not sure. If I find it, I'll post it on another video, or I'll post it in the link of this video because it'll be useful. So done with this video. Thanks for watching. I'll come back in just a minute with another one. Thanks. Bye-bye.